Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. Today I want to continue my discussion of Bill C-21 with a look at the proposed new offense of altering a cartridge magazine. So I'll explain what the proposed legislation is, and then I'll offer some of my thoughts on it. This is going to be a relatively short video because it's a short section, but that's okay too. So we have altering a cartridge magazine. Every person commits an offense who, without lawful excuse, alters a cartridge magazine that is not a prohibited device so that it becomes a prohibited device. What they're talking about here is if you've got a magazine that's been pinned so that it can only hold 5 or 10 rounds, as the case may be, and that you remove that pin so that now it can hold more than that and more than the legal limit. So that would be its own offense under this proposed legislation. The punishment, you can see if they proceed by indictment, term not exceeding 5 years. If they proceed by summary conviction, that's also an option. So there's no minimum on this. Now let's, the first thing I'll note here in terms of this is that it's pretty much impossible. I can't think of a way to commit this offense without being first in possession of a prohibited device. You know, once you've altered the cartridge magazine, you end up being in possession of the prohibited device. So let's have a look at what that comes with. So just jumping over here, unauthorized possession of prohibited or restricted weapon, which includes a prohibited device, has a punishment of a term of imprisonment not exceeding 5 years, or summary conviction. So the same punishment. However, there is a further offense, which is possession knowing its possession is unauthorized. So there's an additional element of the knowledge aspect. And in that case, in the case of a first offense for a term not exceeding 10 years, and in the case of a second offense, not exceeding 10 years and to a minimum punishment for a term of 1 year, and in the case of a third or subsequent offense, 10-year maximum and a minimum of 2 years less a day. So that's a pretty heavy punishment on the knowing its possession is unauthorized. Now, the court is unlikely to sort of double up on the punishment here. They might increase it a little bit, but essentially we're talking about the same offense. In fact, arguably, these would be subject to a principle that prevents you from being convicted twice for exactly the same thing. That's going to be a matter of some debate for the courts later on, but there's an argument to be made there. I don't know if it would be successful ultimately, because it does seem that these are referring to two different actions. However, the punishment range isn't going to change a whole lot. So it already was going to be a criminal offense if you modify the magazine, because simply in the course of doing so, you end up in possession of a prohibited device, and almost certainly knowing that that possession was prohibited. However, that's not really the bigger problem with this. And I'll say that in terms of this is a relatively inoffensive sort of provision. It's already something that's banned. So this action, it was already impossible to take legally. And it's basically, you know, this I can't find too much fault with other than the design. And one major thing here is that this offense is going to be practically impossible to prove in most cases. Because let's say you find somebody with that cartridge magazine and, you know, the pin has been drilled out, or, you know, whatever has been done. How do you prove it was them that altered it and not someone else? Absent a confession, I think that this would be a very difficult offense to prove. Either a confession or else, you know, I was going to say, you know, you find their garage and you find all of this, but even there, you couldn't really prove it was them as opposed to someone else just in their garage. So a confession, or if you, for some reason, videotaped yourself doing it, it'd be very difficult to see how they'd actually get to proving this particular section. So as much as this section may seem like it's, you know, inoffensive, it might seem like it makes sense. I think that this is ultimately more window dressing than anything else, because I can't see them actually convicting people on this on any sort of regular basis. But this isn't like the other sections I've talked about, because a lot of the other sections I've talked about are things that are going to create substantial problems. I don't see this actually creating any big problems. I've sort of put some thought into it. I was trying to sort of see if there was a situation I could contemplate. The only one I can see in terms of things is if you, for instance, had a magazine and you thought the pin was maybe getting a little loose, and so you drilled out the pin in order to put in a new, better pin. But that to me would seem to be covered by the provision of lawful excuse, because if you're saying that the only reason why you took the pin out was to, replace it and improve the pinning, that seems to me that a court would be inclined to find that to be a lawful excuse. I'm not sure what other lawful excuses would come up, but it's that'll be something to sort of sort out down the road. That said, this might just be a failure of imagination on my part. It could be that this is a situation where there is a problem. If you can think of one, I'd love to hear it in the comments. If you can think of a situation where somebody might be innocently modifying this, and I'm not talking about somebody who's intentionally trying to commit a criminal offense here, but just some sort of other innocent reason for it. The other sort of situations that I could see are people who have some sort of license to possess prohibited devices. So for instance, somebody in the movie industry or a movie armorer might buy a particular handgun, and then it might come with a modified magazine, and they might need to modify it, that magazine for the purpose of the filming, and they might themselves have a license to possess prohibited devices. But that again seems like it would probably be in the lawful excuse category. But that one's a lot more debatable. I'm not certain, but those people would have the further option instead. I mean, if you've got the armor thing and it allows you to have prohibited devices and it allows you to have, it would probably just allow them to import unmodified magazines. So again, that one seems a little bit of a reach. So I don't see big problems with this, but I also don't see a whole lot of point to it. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope I provided some explanation to this particular sort of subsection. There's still more to come on Bill C-21. It is a dense bill with a whole lot of things. Next time, I think I'm going to talk about the peace officers provision, because I've actually seen a lot of misinformation on that one. So maybe I'll try to clear that up. Anyway, thank you for watching. I want to encourage you to please like this video. Please share it with your friends. Please subscribe to see more content. All of these help the channel grow. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters at the $50 level. D. Moe, Sir Daniel Wicks of Alberta, Canada's National Firearms Association, North Central Process Service, Kyle Martin. And at the $20 level, Cameron Johnson, Dale Nesbitt, Andrew Elsich, Sights and Arms Limited, as well as a number of you in the $10 level who will be in the crawl immediately following. Thank you once again. I hope this has armed you with knowledge. I'm going to sort of keep going through until eventually, hopefully I'll have a series of videos that'll provide a complete explanation of this bill. But I didn't want to do this all at once, otherwise it would have been like 4 hours worth of video. And this way you can sort of jump to the whatever section you want to discuss with people, whatever section you want to understand a little better. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this has armed you with knowledge, and see you next time.